My name is Davina. I'm with Ampersand, and we're a longtime supporter of brand innovators. So Carmen and Patrick, do you want to maybe do a quick intro? I guess maybe start with Patrick.
Yeah, hi, Patrick Harrison. I'm VP of Job Seeker Marketing. The way to think about Indeed as a platform is we have employers looking for great candidates and hires. We have job seekers looking for jobs. We'll get into sort of how we structure marketing. The best way to think about it is I oversee everything we do on a B2C front, and we call that job seeker marketing internally. Work closely with Carmen at her Center of Excellence for media analytics.
Yep, and I am Carmen Graf. I oversee the global brand advertising media events. And so I work hand in hand, obviously, with Patrick, who heads up really our job seeker GM on the marketing side and our employer GM on the employer side. So
Great. So to kind of kick it off, we have a video, a quick spot to kind of give you a little teaser as to what Indeed's been up to, and then we'll talk about the video after it plays. So thanks.
At Indeed, we believe that people looking for better work should be able to find it.
They want me to start on Tuesday.
Better wages,
How do we help people find jobs who confront barriers?
more flexibility, whatever better means to them. People offering better work should find better hires. A better culture
That's inclusion. It's an intentional action.
and a better bottom line. It's why we use our scale, tools, and resources to bridge the gap and bring job seekers and employers together. We know talent is universal and opportunity is not,
How do you bring a new lens to looking at people differently?
that we all face barriers, and that it's our job to break them down.
Welcome to corporate headquarters.
perfect.
For her, him, and they. For small businesses and big. And for all people, no matter who you are. So it's time we put this belief out into the world. Introducing our new global brand campaign.
What if finding a new job wasn't such a leap of faith?
I don't think I'm right for this. I said, I don't think I'm right for the job.
You're perfect for it.
What if you knew you'd be paid fairly?
Check this out.
Because you could literally see what the job pays.
You can be a millionaire in 10 years.
What if your schedule worked for you? And her? And them? And what if the promise of better work, this might be the one, wasn't just something we dreamed about, but something we found?
I'm proud of you.
Or better yet, something that found us.
No way.
Hit my phone.
I got the interview.
Because no matter how much progress we make, no matter what better work looks like to you, Indeed will always believe the world can work better.
Thank you. We wanted to share that with you. We just launched a brand new global campaign, and everything starts at the core of our brand, which is our mission. We help people get jobs. We help all people get jobs. And that's really the what we do, and the why we do is what you saw here in the name of our panel, which is we believe, better work leads to better lives. And so a lot of times everyone's like, well, what does better work mean? And it really means whatever it means to that individual. So it could be, better wages or better workplace culture or more flexibility in the job. I want to be working from home or hybrid. And so because this is a global campaign, we actually went out, we did a global research across 50,000 people and to understand what does better work mean for them. And it was interesting, as you can imagine, like France was very different than Germany, was very different than the US. But at the same time, there was really three things that was a red thread across all cultures, and that was opportunity, they want transparency, and they want well-being. And that was really what birthed this campaign. So our creative articulation of it is the world can work better, and the net is that, we believe when we can connect people searching for better work to people offering better work, that is a positive outcome. So that is, you're kind of seeing it first. We actually just launched it, so we wanted to share that.
That's really aspirational. It was funny, I checked into the W last night and the person checking me in asked what I was doing here. And I said, I'm speaking at Indeed. And she goes, that's how I got my job. She goes, and by the way, they just emailed me another job opportunity. And I was like, great. She's like, at Fairfield down the street, but I think I like the W better. So awesome. So, you both of your responsibilities are global. So how do you, we saw a little bit of the language changes, but how do you localize the approach for the campaign? Patrick, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so, this is something we think about every planning cycle, and a lot of the work we do. Indeed operates in over 60 markets, and we have a concerted effort from a marketing perspective, an integrated perspective, in over 20 of those. And I think it goes back to what Carmen said, there are some universal themes that we've picked out through market research, things that can live through a lot of the work and the communications. But we have an extensive country marketing team that we work very closely with to understand the nuance in messaging and content that we layer on top of those core values and core mission that we see from research popping across labour forces around the world. But it's definitely something that takes time, takes a lot of dialogue. We know that job mobility, attitudes to job mobility are very different in Japan than they are in a place like the US. It's all kinds of things you learn, of course, in any vertical about the subtleties of language. But for us, we see different attitudes to work in different markets. And our country marketing team really give us that lens into the local market, that intelligence, that perspective. And I think we think about every global campaign with localization top of mind. And when we get it right, we can really see the results, and we really hear that, okay, this campaign spoke to me as a job seeker in Germany, and we can get into data and measurement and how we kind of think about how work affects a local market. But it's something that we certainly don't take lightly. We build a lot of processes, and we have a lot of inclusion from the local marketing teams to get this done.
Well, and we have gotten it wrong, right? Like we have done global campaigns that ended up being too American.
Yeah.
And so we have learned, in fact, this year what we did was we have a global campaign, but we had local production. So it stayed true to the world can work better, but we actually went into France and we went into the UK and actually produced local work, and we're seeing the benefits. One, the markets are way happier, our colleagues, but at the same time, it's working. The metrics are showing that it's working, and so it's worth that extra step. And we have an internal creative agency here, and they work hand in hand with any external creative agency we use to really ensure we are guiding that insight correctly. So, yeah.
And there's also a lot of the local markets originate themselves. So we've done a lot of in-market partnerships, long-term partnerships, to show that we're at the heart of culture. We've sponsored the Irish Olympic team. We've sponsored a major Bundesliga club in Germany. These are multi-year fixed contracts that show that we want to be there. We want to understand the markets. We want to understand hiring managers and their challenges. We want to understand job seekers. And that's, for us, a real commitment, and obviously, is an expression of our brand as well.
Yeah, it was fascinating. I was in Japan in April and met a team of people from Indeed. And in that market, they said they're actually creating a job seeker market, that they don't actually, they're so loyal that they don't even, it's not a normal thing. Can you talk about that? That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, there's a kind of a long-standing history in Japan that you will get a job after graduation from college and stay with that employer for a very long time. And it's really interesting, we've done a lot of research and talked to a lot of people in Japan. There are some differences in attitudes are changing. We're seeing that generational change. But still the data would show that on average job seekers change jobs a lot less in Japan than they do in the US, which has quite high mobility. But thematically, we're also picking up on a lot of different attitudes within work, attitudes to traditional gender roles, attitudes to promotion of pay, transparency. So these are things that we need to understand really keenly to make sure that we're representing job seekers and employees in the right way.
So you talked about when we were prepping, you talked about the lifetime value and being like committed to the career of these job seekers, not just one job here or there, but can you talk? How do you bring that to reality? How do you partner for a career of a job seeker?
Yeah, this is something we're really focused on. I think from a product perspective as well as a marketing perspective. Now, going back, let's say a decade, when Indeed was growing very fast, I think we were really focused on that moment of job search, connecting someone to an opportunity. And there was a lot of development and focus on that, and it still is. We help people get jobs. For us, delivering that hire is, the most important expression of that. But we want to have a long-term relationship with a job seeker. Maybe they use Indeed for their first summer job before college. And we want them to get their job, in the middle of their career, towards the end of their career. There's no reason we can't deliver that value. So for us, it's about providing value from a product perspective in between those moments of active job search. If you look across the span of your career, let's say it's 40 or 50 years, think about the amount of time you actually spend really looking for jobs and interviewing. It's a tiny, tiny sliver of that time. We want to offer a lot more value in between those moments of active job search. And one of the things that we do at scale is we have a lot of content to help people navigate their career, everything from promotion discussions, negotiating a pay rise, understanding if there's another employer down the street that might have a better opportunity for you. So this is a partnership between product and marketing to be there for a job seeker, but also be there for someone as a worker. When they're at a position, there's no reason we can't give them a notification saying that actually, you might be underpaid for your role. It seems that salaries for your position have gone up since you got your last role. So we think, we're going to talk about this a lot internally in the coming months and years, is being a career companion for someone through this long-term journey. And as Carmen said, that journey is very much, the job seeker's choosing. Some people, want to work traditional 9 to 5 throughout their career. Some people do that for a period of time and then they want to go freelance. So we want to be there whatever their better work looks like throughout their career.
Well, in addition to product, I would imagine, Carmen, maybe you could talk to this, insights throughout the lifetime has to support that, right? So can you talk a little bit about how what tools you use to get those insights to make sure that you're following someone on that journey?
Yeah, well, first of all, our own data, right? We have 350 million people or job seekers coming to our site every month, 3.5 million employers and worldwide. So when you think about the scale of that data, we get a lot of insight from that. We also use things like our work well-being report where we I highly recommend anyone going to our site and looking at it. It's fabulous when you think about work well-being and what people are searching for. We have tools like Patrick said in terms of salary transparency. And so between all of our data, between all of our research that we do, our proprietary research to really understand the job seeker journey, we get a lot of insights that way. And I would also say it's really important from an organic social standpoint as you think about it, because we want to move from a job search platform to a matching and hiring platform. And to become a matching and hiring platform, we need to make sure we understand our job seekers as well as our employers, and we have to give them the content that they are searching for. And that's where Patrick's team comes in with all of these products. We bring those insights to life through our messaging.
Well, I would imagine when you have that much data,
lot of data.
you can have analysis paralysis, right? So when we think about branding and performance marketing, how do you guys balance that?
So that is the $1 million question, right? Like that is on all my committees, that's what we're talking about. And I will say it's all one funnel, of course, and so they work hand in hand. When you're balancing brand and performance, it varies by market for us. What's that market dynamic and what are the jobs that need to be done by market? But I will say, coming out of it, we have, a few years ago, we implemented an MMM, and that has been really insightful to understand. Obviously, brand halos acquisition, and acquisition halos brand, so now we try to quantify that. When I say that, people are like, really? Give me an example. Well, if anyone knows I need Indeed you do. Of course, that's an acquisition campaign, but it's helping to build, and we see that through our metrics. So we use our MMM to help us understand the value of each campaign, and we optimize and how we dial in acquisition sometimes, how we dial in brand, but we can understand through our analysis how much, so our brand investments, how much revenue we generate from that, but we also can see from a brand health metric standpoint, unaided consideration, brand of choice, what the acquisition efforts contribute to that. So there really is a big halo. What we have to do is constantly, depending on market, balance that funnel correctly, and we have really three things. I'll go really fast. We have brand, we have mid-funnel, which we call brand formance, and then we have kind of harder hitting acquisition efforts, and what that does is it really is about trying to find the headroom for growth within certain occupations. So it is really all throughout the funnel, and we balance it depending on the market dynamics and jobs to be done.
Yeah, it's you mentioned earlier sort of the learnings we've taken. I think one of the learnings we've had internally is that not to try and judge a brand campaign too quickly. So you mentioned that we have a ton of data. Like we can actually look to the minute on job seeker traffic. We can look at the type of job seekers coming to the platform. And when we, maybe 8-9 years ago, when we launched brand campaigns, we'd actually try and look at the traffic spikes that come from, TV commercials. But we found that just didn't represent the medium and long-term effect in any way. And it's good to triangulate the effects of brand by looking at some of these direct traffic measures in the short term. But really what we found is when we have great work in market, it's paying us back over the course of years. And how we see that from a sort of diagnostic point of view is we'll see the proportion of traffic that comes to our platform will change from being more paid marketing based to direct and branded search. And branded search is a really key diagnostic for us. When we see people searching for Indeed and generally finding our homepage, we see that go up over time as a proportion of overall traffic. We can see the effects longer term of brand. So there's absolutely the M&M work, which really helps us understand long-term revenue impacts. And then we can understand sort of the health of the marketplace. And over time, to your question on performance marketing, we become less dependent on channels like SEM, and then we can use SEM in a more sort of surgical way to balance supply and demand, because we have such a strong foundation of direct and organic traffic.
And we've just started implementing clean room technology too. I don't know if any of you all are using it. We've just scaled to 6 partners. We're about to go to a 7th, and that has been incredibly helpful too with looking at brand versus performance.
Yes, we love it, clean rooms at Ampersand, because we're unlocking our TV data into those to help with one of the channels, which is really cool. Great. Well, so just for Carmen, there's two groups that you guys, that Patrick, when you opened, kind of talked about, right? So there's job seekers, and then you also have the companies that list, so the small business owners, I think it is. How do you support both groups?
Yeah, well, what you said, we have an overall dual market, so the campaign that you just saw actually is dual market. What you saw in those spots were a job seeker and an employer making a positive connection. And so we do that, of course. But then we also have specific job seeker messaging and specific employer messaging because we need to, right? An SMB is different than a mid-sized company, is far different than an enterprise company. And so those propositions under the world can work better, of course, are different, and we need to be very specific.
Very cool. So we got a final question here, but I know that you guys have a lot of amazing partners. Can you talk about some of those partners, agency partners, what have you, but also how do you balance what you do in-house versus what you outsource, and how do you kind of make that all work?
Yeah, well, we have, and they're here too, hi, our in-house creative agency, and we work hand in hand with them. They do the majority of our work. Everything is you can think about, including brand work all the way down to all the acquisition and emails and things like that. So, and when we work with external agencies, we use 72 and Sunny as our kind of external creative agency. In the US, we use Robarts in Germany, we use DDB in India, we use Dentsu in Japan, and they are constantly at the table with us whenever we get concepts back. They are really, I like to think of our external agencies as an extension of our in-house agency, who are really our partners in crime. So, and then of course we use MediaCom for media. And we have we use Vayner for social, so we have a lot of work around the world, as you can imagine, and so many partners.
That's great, that's great. Well, anybody, we have maybe 2 minutes. If anyone has a question for Patrick or Carmen.
Yeah, what's clean room technology?
Why don't you explain it?
Sure.
This is a sales pitch, right?
Oh, no, I don't sell clean room technology, but so as brands are needing more and more data to be able to measure, especially in the TV space where you have consumers viewing on linear TV, live TV, and streaming, and everyone's trying to figure out where viewers are and how to reach them. Many brands, especially ones with valuable first-party data, are setting up data architecture, and clean room technology is kind of an underlying technology that a lot of the brands are moving towards, where the data can sit in a privacy way that everyone, like Carmen mentioned, 7 partners, all those people are bringing data to the party, but everyone, from a privacy standpoint, can keep their data to themselves. And it's a way for the data to be aggregated together in a privacy compliant way. And it's also more deterministic because it's real data, versus cookie data. So that's another reason for this trend. And so our part in that is we have 65 million households of TV data that we want to unlock for brands and agencies to enable them to be able to measure the live TV and streaming part of that equation.
Made in the US.
Actually, no, we can do it worldwide. Yeah, so Disney does it. We work with Hulu and Disney. We work with Roku. Univision, we do as well. In NBCU, we have one. So essentially, it's exactly what Davina said. We take our first-party data, we take their first-party data, we match it in a clean room, we customize an audience, and then we test by a control exposure and then a targeted exposure, and we can see the lift against each other. And I will tell you, it is great, because sometimes when you use MMMs and you have a marketing science team, they're like, that might be a black box. And clean rooms are truly one-to-one type measurement. And so there is a lot of buy-in on that, and we love them.
I'm guessing that the data that you're getting from the consumers is significantly more robust than from companies that are listing. Is that accurate? Or and I'm just curious about how you're getting the insights from the employer side and how you're sort of weighing that against the probably, ridiculous amount of data that you're getting from the consumer side. And like how you're treating those markets and the data, the insights that are coming in.
Yeah, we get a lot from the employer though, because we can't, you're right, from the job seeker, we do get a ton. But we have to do all the matching to those employers. And so the way that we work with the employers really is through kind of the screening questions that they kind of go through a pretty significant screener so that we can make sure we're matching to the right job seeker. At the same time, we offer account profiles, so if you don't have an account profile, make sure you go sign up for one because a lot of goodness happens when you have one. So the job seeker has that account, they have all their information in it, then the employers can go search for that job seeker and it can become a two-way search now. Employers can begin to invite job seekers to apply. So again, that's really important. But we get a lot from the employer.
And we also have a really extended client success team who will give us a lot of really valuable qualitative feedback. They'll work with medium and large sized clients to understand how's our product serving them, what can we do better. So we don't have that kind of nature of a one-to-one relationship on the job seeker side, so we have to really think about understanding them at scale. So yeah, it's definitely continuing to understand both sides of the platform is really important for us.
Awesome, well, thank you. And please, for everyone sticking around, at 1:30, we're gonna do kind of a behind the brand with Carmen and Patrick's larger, broader team. So stick around if you wanna go a little deeper on this topic, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.